And we are live. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Superman Super Show live. This is episode number 41. And I think I used the term with you earlier. This is a show where a couple of crusty old men talk about some crusty old Superman stories.
Yep. Yeah, they are actually older than I am. So
hell yeah, that makes you feel good. Makes you feel young, don't it?
There are things older than me. Yeah, because it's getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah. But how's it going?
It's going. I mean, where I'm at that stage of life where everything is pretty settled now, and you just run through however you have things set up. But the occasional hiccup, but otherwise, it just day to day, week to week kind of stuff.
Did you happen to attend a No Kings rally yesterday?
No,
I didn't either.
I am in full support of it.
Yes,
but I am, and I guess it's kind of maybe a character issue that I have. I don't necessarily want to get that involved, and I also don't trust the environment to not make a problem at those things.
That's. I use the excuse that I'm just a little too old to go out and do that stuff anymore. Well, 30 years ago, I would have been there in riot gear with gas, all that stuff. But
it just if somebody has some kind of fundraiser for it, or potentially a write-in or stuff like that, I'll be happy to participate. Yeah. But physical participation is very. It can end up costing me a lot more than it's worth, depending on just what happens. It's
exactly. Yeah.
And starting yesterday about noon, because that's when everything was supposed to happen local times across the country. Was it mostly at noon? I started watching, reading, and as of just 30 minutes ago, I have seen 2 negative reports. For 4,000 plus occurrences and 7 million plus people. So even though there were people out there who were wanting trouble, and they went to try to incite trouble, because I know that had to have happened somewhere. Mostly trouble didn't happen. One was a woman in Myrtle Beach who, I don't know what side she was representing, but at the rally, or one of the rallies at Myrtle Beach, she decided to brandish a firearm, a pistol, and it didn't go down too well, and she got arrested. Actually three. Now that I think about it, there was another one where somebody purportedly wearing Trump paraphernalia drew a pistol and was subdued by the crowd until the police got there, and then he was arrested. And then probably the biggest one was one of the rallies, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, one of the meetings in Los Angeles was ruled unlawful, and so it was unfortunately dispersed by tear gas.
Yeah, I did see a lot of that. That was mostly LAPD. That was that was. You expect this kind of stuff from ICE. But in some of these areas, some of these cities where, people are protesting against ICE, state troopers and local police, sometimes they're right in there with ICE, just being just as brutal. Sometimes they're the victims. And,
in LA, two things come to mind. First, it's like, LA is probably one of the more liberal places. So with that in mind, for it be felt by the officials in LA that this doesn't need to occur, it must have been really illegal. I mean, probably the location that they picked, I bet, is what it is. They're like, oh no, we don't want to do it in the park. Let's go in the mayor's front yard or something like. And it's like, come on now. It's
LA is a liberal town. The police, I don't think are. I mean, we saw the same kind of stuff during the BLM protests, and I think.
If it was illegal, then the officials have every right to disperse it. I agree
100%.
So, and you as a participant in that particular situation know that is very likely going to be what happens. So, it's not like, oh, and then all of a sudden, come on, you knew what you were doing, probably trying to incite some sort of response, and you got the response you were looking for. Don't feign ignorance or innocence, or, come on now. If you're trying to prove a point, if you go too far, then your point gets completely lost, and it's just it's pun intended or no pun intended, pointless. So if they put you over there, fine, go over there and still speak your mind. There's nothing there's nothing anti anything about that. I mean, the U.S. is based on our ability to protest, but the protests have always been controlled. There are places you can, places you can't. There are things you can do in protest. There are things you can't. So I mean, if you want to make a point and send your message, whether you agree or like it, do it within the bounds that you are given, so that the fact that you went out of bounds does not become an issue and take away from what you're trying to do. Because there are those people that automatically, oh yeah, see what they did, regardless of what they were trying to say. And it's like, that is absolutely not what you want. If you're trying to say something, say it in a way that the message is first and anything else is second. So
I agree. I do. I agree. But I'm also, on the flip side, I'm also somewhat of a supporter of depending on what the protest is about, for example, the Black Lives Matter, the phrase "no justice, no peace." I back that a bit. Sometimes if America would not be America were it not no justice, no peace was not a thing. But on the same side, I don't want us to have to go into some violent war.
A civil war in essence is.
And I hate it when people say, "What's so civil about war?" Shut up. That's not clever. Anyway,
civil, I think, probably applies to the word civilians. More than civility. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Did you see the AI video that came out yesterday of that the MAGA's made of Trump in a crown flying a jet over one of the protests, dumping shit all over the protesters?
No. Gosh, I'm upset that I missed that. I'll have to go and find that.
It's everywhere. You'll find it. It is the most ridiculous thing. The fact that they put it up there and went, yeah, that's our president. Whereas all the liberals and whatnot I'm seeing online are like, yeah, that pretty much defines his presidency. Wearing a crown and dump. So the diarrhea Donald is a new thing you'll see.
Him and his cabinet are just they're a total joke. I mean, they're a total. And probably for me, the most disappointing thing about it is I don't understand why nothing is being done. Particularly, I will see new snippets. Now, they might not be completely contemporary. These things could have happened anywhere within the last, 10 months. But various cabinet members in hearings before bureaus of Congress or bureaus of the House, whatever. And they get absolutely roasted. And they just show that they are whatever. They're not intelligent enough to have the position. They're lying about what they've done, whatever, So what? When they got done being a total ass, let's say, to members of Congress, well, then what happened? Nothing. They went back to their office and they got ready for the meeting the next day. It's like, well, then why point that out to me? Because even as a voter, I have absolutely no control over the people who are in the cabinet. None. There is nothing I can do. Well, there are things that I can do, but they're highly illegal. So, so it's like, if you're trying to get a point across, or if you're trying to get me agitated to do something, I can't do anything about them. Just like Trump. I can't necessarily do anything about Trump. Now, I can do something about the membership of Congress, membership of the House, but I can't do that until next year. So I'm like, if these things are bad, if Trump, he does this, signs this, it's probably against the law. Well, then why are we not finding out that it is? Because whatever the process is gone through, and it's telling us, well, yeah, actually the president does not have the power to do that. All I keep hearing are, for Trump, well, he fired the whole whatever department. That's probably against the law. Well, is it or is it not? If it is, then should we should we not do something about it? I mean, and to exemplify, okay, this is you're talking about the AI video of Trump and the plane, and okay, here, this exemplifies when what is she? Is she the chief of staff? I forget, or maybe it's Ice Barbie. Maybe she was the one of the females that get out and speak about Trump was asked a question about something that Trump did. I believe it was in relation to the Venezuelan narco militarist, whatever things that he's shooting out of the water. And her response was, "Your mom." Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Yes. Her response was, well, how come, well, your mom. I'm like, oh man, I got to wake up, or I need to put this book down, or turn the movie off or something. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. So, okay.
It's like social media anymore. I think I tried to say something about it a while back. I don't think it came across the way I meant it to, but it's like, you think about the fact that, the people that you follow on social media, you're following them because either they're your friends or they do stuff that you like. And chances are, because of that, 9 times out of 10, when it comes to this political stuff, they think like you, right?
Right.
Yeah. So when you go into your social media, for me, example, I go into my social media, every political post is bent that way. Right.
Right.
So
sure.
Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but they're all posts like, look at so-and-so, he just said the quiet thing out loud. And it's like, yeah, we know, we're all seeing this. We all think who are you? What it ends up being is just a room full of like-minded people complaining and not coming up with any solutions, or it's just bouncing around in an echo chamber.
An echo chamber. That's exactly what it turns out to be. Yeah. Yeah. And I just, it continues to frustrate me that the people that I assume have the ability to change something aren't seeming to change much anything. So I'm like, why? What is going on that everybody's just sitting around on their hands? Even quote unquote Republicans. Okay. Mm-hmm. It is impossible for me to believe that all of the Republicans in Congress agree with what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
Why are you not saying so? Is that not why you're there? Is to say something? And okay, well then so what? Again, that is your job. Do you not have any personal responsibility in the fact that is why the people selected you to be in that, to represent them? And if something doesn't sit with you, chances are most of the people that voted for you, it probably doesn't sit with them either. Just like you were saying. Of course, people lie, whatever, but like-minded. Oh man, if this bugs me, then, I know it's going to bug everybody in my hometown, most of the people in my district, whatever. So they don't want to just sit on their hands. Yeah. So why are you, what are you? Yeah. So I don't understand, Steeven, what is happening. I am seeing things and they just, I don't believe them because they are so extreme and they don't make sense, but I have to believe them because I know it's happening.
Yeah.
And so I'm caught in this. There's no way. Well, yeah, obviously there's a way, because all of these different agencies have said this, so there's got to be more truth to it than. And I'm like, where? When did I? I've been awake the whole time, and yeah, I just it.
Yeah. It's just got to hope that it ends, because I think that's what all these opposing politicians are just waiting for the next election. That's why they're not doing anything.
Well, it will end, but the question is how long. Exactly. To me, anything will end ultimately at some point. Are we talking 2, 4? Are we talking 20? Are we talking 50? It'll end, but by the time it does, what is left? What damage is done? It's end it sooner rather than later if it's not cool. I mean, don't wait for it just to run its course, because by then, shit.
My hope. I mean, I'm just there's a bit in the back of my head that's thinking, well, maybe the reason we're not seeing them doing anything is because maybe they're trying to figure out ultimately, because if they impeach Trump and he goes, we're just going to get JD Vance, and he's just as bad.
Without Trump, though, I don't think he will be.
Well, but see, the thing is, I don't think it's Trump making all the decisions.
No.
I think it's Stephen Miller. And I think whoever they put in Trump's place, like a JD Vance, is just going to have the same. Right. So they got to. I think they're trying to figure out a way to get them all out at once. I don't. That's my sci-fi action movie hope.
That's if you do it legitimately, that's at least 3 years. Now, even if Trump steps down and doesn't run again, which I don't think is what's going to happen, he will be there after 3 years. But JD Vance running against who? Who in the world could the Democrats put up that would, right now as we look now, in 3 more years, the landscape could change quite a bit. But, now they've done some wonderful things. They pulled Clinton out of nowhere. They pulled Obama out of nowhere. Yeah. And pushed them both into the White House. I'm amazed that they did either one of those guys at the times that they did. So they can do it. The machine is in place, but I don't know who that would be.
Honestly, I think if it was to happen right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't Gavin Newsom who they put up. Just because he's a Democrat, he's been staging these, I don't think he's a good choice personally. But he's so out there in everybody's face as being such a loud opponent to Trump and using Trump's ways against him on, like Twitter and crap, that it wouldn't surprise me if it was him.
What I've noticed about Newsom, though, is that he isn't even necessarily overly popular in his party in California.
Yeah.
His own people. Much less like across the
That's why I think he's doing this. I think he's making a bid. I think he's
sure. Yeah, I could see that in what would it be, in probably 2 more years, he declares that he intends. Yeah, I could say, and he may be a front runner. And maybe he could beat Vance at that time, because honestly, what has Vance done notorietarily? To get notoriety.
Yeah.
All he's done is played second sucker to Trump. He's cleaning up the sloppy seconds, and that's all he's got. That's all he's good for so far. So, I don't know.
I think there's a couple of women that would be good to run, but I think this country has proven that they don't want to elect a female president at this point. So
I don't think the country is ready for a female president yet. Not yet. I think it will be at some point, but
I agree.
You've got too many old white guys that still vote. That
and you've got too many old white women who think it's a woman's place to be behind their man.
Right? Yeah,
it's to be out in the
If the party tried to do that, they honestly would be wasting the energy, because I am obviously an old white guy. Honestly, I don't know necessarily that I would vote Democratic. There are issues with the Democratic Party that I don't agree with. I agree more with the things that the Republican Party 20 years ago wanted to do. I certainly don't agree with the Republican Party's methodology today. That is people would label me as being liberal or a Democrat or whatever. And, the bottom line is I am fucking anti-Trump. That's what I am. Whatever that man does, I automatically, just as a knee jerk, say, no, that's a bad idea, even before I pay attention to what it is.
Yep.
A couple times the ideas haven't been too bad, but by and large, that I think I've been pretty accurate in, that's a bad idea. But that's what it is. Anti-Trump. J.D. Vance, I'm kind of on the fence on. His whole cabinet is a worthless bunch of oxygen suckers. I mean, they from front to back, they are just horrendous picks for the jobs that they have. It's just terrible. So all of them can go with Trump. So it doesn't make me Republican. It makes me not like the people.
I think the fact that the stand that they have taken is that Antifa is a terrorist group, and that as Americans, we need to be against Antifa. I think that should have just every freaking politician who doesn't agree with Trump, hell, even those who did, I think it should have woken everybody up at that point to go, wait a minute. He wants us to be against people who are against fascism. Does that mean he's a fascist? Yes, that's exactly what it means.
Anti-fascist is bad in this country?
Yeah. What?
When? What? Yeah.
I just think about all of our grandfathers who would have been like, what the fuck is going on?
My history as I went through school tells me that we continually got involved in wars across the entire globe because we were anti-fascist.
Yep.
I mean,
World
War I, World War II, Korean, Vietnamese. It's so like, what is that? The whole 20th century full of wars because, America was kind of anti-fascist. But not now.
No.
Now anti-fascist is bad. That's, we're anti-American if we're anti-fascist.
Right.
Which, like you said, if you're anti-American for being anti-fascist, so to be American, you're pro-fascist.
It's why I think everybody should go out and listen to the podcast, Let's Start a Coup.
Okay.
Which is like a 5 or 6 part podcast about a time. I think it might have been before World War II, maybe after, but a big bunch of white rich people in America started looking at what Mussolini was doing as a fascist and said, that's what we should have in our country. And so they put some things in motion to try to overthrow the president and the government to turn it into a fascist country. And it obviously didn't happen. But thinking about it, I'm like, well, it's maybe they just needed a while because it's happening now,
Sure as hell is. Yeah. And it's a rich white guy that's out in front of it.
Yep. And have you seen any of the clips from that? What was it, like the White House Antifa roundtable thing that they had with Donald Trump?
No, I know it occurred, but I don't.
Yeah, I think the dude from the FBI guy was there, and
Patel,
what's her name,
and
the attorney general,
Hegseth was there, and yeah.
And but the clips, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't have a frame of reference for every clip, but a lot of the clips were like these people talking to Trump, his cabinet and people like that, and the attorney general talking about Antifa as if it was an actual organization, like where people carry cards and they pay dues and stuff, and talking about the origins of it and how it started. It stretches way back, like 6-7 decades or something like, and it's just like, there's just a bunch of stuff that they each said about certain things. And I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but I was watching it and I'd see Donald Trump going, yes, that's good information. And I'm like, do these people really believe what they're telling him? Or is it all scripted? Or do they know that he's fully dementia now and they're just telling him what he wants to hear? And they know it's all BS. I don't know. And it just drives me crazy. But it's insane. I feel like we've been living these cush, comfortable lives, and then
it's
suddenly
like I said,
we're on the verge of living in
it's a book state that I can't put down, or it's a movie that I can't turn off, or it's, it's somebody else's fiction that I'm caught up in the middle of and I can't get out of it is what it seems like. I mean, it's, yeah.
And it's caused me, I'm finally on antidepressants, but it's caused me to slip into a bit of depression now and again. Cause it's just like, sometimes I go to sleep and I'm just like, there's nothing that I can do to stop this. And it doesn't appear like anybody else is doing anything to stop it. And it just,
by and large, no, as an individual, there is nothing that you can do to stop it. But like I said, it will be over. It will run its course at some point. So if there is any solace to be taken, that is it. It's not a forever thing. No political thing is forever. So, it will end. Maybe the best thing to do is just to take you and yours and bunker up as long as you can until it's, I hate to say that, but it's like, we're the small people. We don't have the money. We don't have the political sway. What? And of course people are going to be like, oh, well, don't give. It's like, look, I only have so much of anything. I only have so much money, so much time. I only have so much brain space. Either I live or I devote myself to this stuff. Now, were I a single man, maybe devoting myself would be okay, but I'm not. I have a wife. I have responsibilities. And so I have to balance trying to do something and looking out for myself.
Yep.
And I understand how that sounds when I just attacked people in Washington for not doing things because they're probably afraid that Trump will come after them. But he will come after them. He will come after them how? What will he do to them? He'll ruin their reputation. Okay, and then what? He's not going to kill you. You will be able to make a living. You will be able to do everything that you're doing now, maybe just on a smaller scale. So he will attack your quality of life. Oh my gosh. Come here to Southern West Virginia and let's talk quality of life.
Yeah.
Okay. Ours has been shitty for any number of reasons for, I don't know, the past 100, 150 years. And we get along just fine in that shitty quality of life.
Yep.
We do just fine with it. We have very little. We get very little. And we live full lives and our kids go out and do stuff and they come back. All the stuff that people do, we do here on a much, much, much smaller scale because we're poor. There's nothing wrong with that and it can easily be done. So if that is the worst fear that you have, man, get over that because people have lived that way just fine for hundreds of years. Do something to use the power that you do have while you have it.
Yeah.
If he has any inkling at all, he will come after you. So if that invariably is going to happen, at some point he's going to push you too far and you'll stand up and say something. And then it's like, oh, well, why don't you do it now while you have more power to make a change rather than waiting until everybody else has been picked off and there's only two of you left and you're one of them. Get together.
Instead,
do something.
Instead, what they do is they quit their job. I'm going to quit being an attorney general or whatever for Trump. And then I'm going to write a book and make shit tons of money while calling him out in the book, which never does anything.
And then he'll sue you for $15 billion or whatever. It's like, yeah. Okay. Let's talk Superman.
All right, let's do it. All right, I'll do the opening thing here. The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience. It's been a while. The following episode was recorded in front of a live streaming audience on Sunday, October the 19th, 2025. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 91, the Corinthville Caper. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven. And 1,000 miles over there to my left. Is that right?
It's left.
If I updated that. I'm pretty sure it's left. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it depends on how you're looking. If you're in Kansas and you're looking north, I'm to the right. If you're in Kansas looking south, I'm to the left.
I'm looking north at the moment.
So I would actually be right.
Okay. I'm going to fix that.
Which I'm actually more moderate than right, but it's, it's, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how you doing?
Pretty good. We could banter here, but I think we bantered quite a bit at the top.
We did. You want to just talk about this freaking Superman comic? Because
let's
amazing.
It was. This was a pretty, and I say standard, but not standard in a bad way. Standard as far as what we have experienced so far is how I will use the word standard. A very standard Superman Golden Age story. It was, unfortunately, I don't think you would get a story like this nowadays.
No.
If you did, it would be because somebody is trying to write like they did in the Golden Age rather than an idea they came up with today. But it was very fun. Seemed like maybe somebody had watched, a couple movies recently, or maybe read a couple fiction novels recently when they sat down to do this story.
Without giving anything away, to me, it was an episode of Scooby-Doo. It just, instead of ghosts, it was something else.
Could be. Yeah, I could see that. And I don't even think Scooby-Doo was around yet.
No, hell no. No.
Scooby-Doo was like in the 60s. Like mid 60s or late 60s. Yeah. But yeah, it was that kind of intention with the story, I thought. Yeah.
And if you follow my Blue Sky or my Threads or you're subscribe to my newsletter, I did release 2 panels from the book, from the story we're talking about today. And it does feature Superman either punching or throwing a gorilla, which should tell you how much fun we're going to have with this one.
Right. Yeah.
So today we're looking at the Corinthville Caper, the second of 4 Superman stories that appear in Superman number 11. It was written by Jerry Siegel with art by Leo Nowak. It has a cover date of July/August 1941, but according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics at Mike'sAmazingWorld.com, the issue hit the stands on May 2nd, 1941. And here is what happened in the issue, or in the story. I got to quit saying issue. Clark and Lois investigate reports of giant animals near Corinthville, which have panicked the town. They find the reporter Grant Fellows, who filed the story, and have him bring them to the laboratory of Dr. Emil Karlstrom. Karlstrom is doing animal experiments, but nothing that would create giant creatures. Lois and Clark go in search of the animals, only to encounter an escaped ape. Superman stops the ape and later finds Dr. Karlstrom tied up. They are almost eliminated in a cave-in, but Superman prevails. Finally, Fellows reveals that the giant animals were a hoax to scare Karlstrom into leaving because the reporter had found a gold mine on the scientist's property. Fellows tries to kill everyone, but Superman makes the scene. That's a weird phrase. Fellows tries to kill everyone, but Superman makes the scene, rescuing Lois and capturing Fellows. The synopsis comes from Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Ed, what'd you think about this one?
It was fun. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy it. I've been reading, in our modest break here of recording Golden Age stories, I've been reading a lot of contemporary books, just keeping up with those books coming out that I try to keep up with. So this was a nice kind of refresher break from what was starting to become just an uncomfortable trend of the newer story. So it was, I enjoyed it. Now there were several things that, several story elements that kind of took me out for a minute because they didn't necessarily make sense. So I did notice there were a lot more, maybe like they felt like story hiccups than other stories have been. Almost at times it felt like there were multiple ideas that Siegel wanted to stitch together, but in thinking about them, he didn't think about them together. It was almost a, I like this. Oh, how about that? Oh, rather than a, let's go from A to Z, tell a story, kind of like some of the stories will feel. Not and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, but it's just something that I noticed. I guess I wanted something a little more fluid to enjoy than what this turned out to be, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of it really a whole lot at all.
Yeah. It's got a lot of, I say a lot, 2 times Superman throws animals over into the horizon, which is kind of weird. I think anytime for me, knowing what Superman has become and what he will become and the kind of menaces that he'll face throughout his career, it just always cracks me up when they got him fighting a gorilla or a giant or what, not even I guess a giant snake. It's like a big anaconda or something, but
right. Yeah,
it's that's what I thought was funny about it. Superman in all his strength wrestling with a gorilla, which I have to assume at this point, obviously he's not as strong in the golden age as he is now.
Right.
But I don't think when we get to it, I don't think that gorilla really gave him much of a fight.
It didn't seem to. I mean, yeah.
But I will say real quick before you start getting into the story.
Okay.
When I first sat down to read this, I noticed that my tablet the battery was dead. So I started to charge the tablet and I went ahead to start to read it on my phone. When I read it on my phone, I do it panel by panel, which with a modern comic is not that fun, but with an old comic like this, it's not that bad of an experience because the panels are all square or rectangular, they don't flow together like some of the modern ones. But for some reason, as I'm reading this, I get to that first page. And so the first screen that I see is that opening bit that I'm sure you'll read when we get to it. And then it just went from that panel. It skipped the 2 panels beneath it on that first page and went straight to the first panel on the second page. And I was like, what the hell? What? They're just not even going to, they just jumped right into it, didn't they?
That's a little bit of, those 2 panels do kind of set things up for you. Yeah. But
I was really, I almost wrote that down as something to talk about, which obviously I am. But then of course, when my tablet charged up and I went back to give it a look, I was like, wow, I'm glad I did this because that skipped those 2 freaking panels. And matter of fact,
I wonder why. I wonder why it did that.
Page on here. Hold on, let me do something real quick because
I was going to say that's where it skipped to.
Yeah, I mean, I had that first panel on the first page, so I got to read all about there's some new menace and a story, and he puts Clark and Lois on it, and then suddenly Lois and Clark are in the car, and so I thought, well, maybe that's what it's supposed to
happened,
do.
Yeah.
Because they do kind of explain in that opening that, it's what's going to be going on. But I don't know. I felt it was weird.
So here in the first, it's a half, maybe a little bit more, maybe a 60% page, the splash, which is how they've been opening a lot of these Golden Age stories. And the narrator tells us here, it is the function of the large metropolitan daily newspaper to keep its readers informed of all developments in the news. Boy, that has changed. Thus, when a fantastic report reaches Metropolis's Daily Planet, editor Perry White sends forth Lois Lane and Clark Kent to check its authenticity. The 2 reporters find themselves launched into the midst of a thrilling adventure, made all the more exciting by the timely appearance of the mighty Man of Steel, Superman. Now, the artwork that accompanies that is a neighborhood of people rushing away towards you. You're looking back over them at their neighborhood, which is being completely sundered by a giant gorilla, 2 giant elephants, and a giant lion. And maybe they're fighting between themselves, maybe not. But they are destroying the neighborhood that the people are escaping from. So that is our story. Lois and Clark are going to investigate giant animals destroying neighborhoods somewhere in the greater metropolis or the greater Daily Planet reading area.
So right away, it's like, all right, this is going to be awesome. Superman is going to fight giant animals. This is going to
giant elephant. I mean, that's going to be cool.
And I think when we're seeing these animals tear apart these buildings, I feel like this is still kind of that time where people just assume that if it's a wild animal, their first instinct is to want to kill human beings,
Probably.
And so, especially when you make them giant, it just makes their anger and rage and willingness to kill humans just as big.
The anti-human is that much more greater because it's a giant beast, and so
it's like Captain America. If you're a good person, you get the serum, you become a better person. If you're a bad person, you get the serum, you become a worse person. So it's the same thing.
Exactly. So one of the two panels that you missed here kind of helps set things up a little bit better. The first, we see Perry White holding a missive that's been sent in that says Corinthville Clarion, that's the paper in the area, reports gigantic animals terrifying the populace. Citizens are hurriedly packing and fleeing. Now that is very much a description of the artwork we see here in the in the splash here. I mean, that tells it completely, pretty much. Well, Perry's, kind of suspect. I'm sure the giant animals is kind of what caught his attention of, is this really going on? So he decides to send Lois and Clark to check it out. The first panel on the next page is the panel that you had skipped to in your reading because of your phone, for whatever. I don't know why it would do that. Of them driving off. So you had the splash page with the animals and the little narration part and not any direction. And then all of a sudden you see, well, Lois and Clark are going somewhere. And then as you read a couple more panels, you see where they're going. In this first panel, it doesn't even tell you that. So you're going from giant animals destroying neighborhoods to Lois and Clark zooming away in their car. Maybe they're running away. Maybe they're trying to escape it too. And that's what this little panel is. But then we find out they're going in one direction and all of the giant animal refugees are going in the other direction, as we have seen in TV shows and movies. Yeah. You're going towards a danger. People are running away from danger to really get your mind on the fact that something really bad is happening because everybody's getting away. But these two fools are going right into the middle of it. They hook up with this gentleman named Grant Fellows, who is supposed to be a reporter for the Corinthville, whatever the name of the paper was, Clarion. He is going to be their guide because he was a witness. He has seen this. He wrote the news article,
the one that filed the story.
Yeah. So it's all him, and so he is also their contact. So they go to meet up with him, and he tells them the story of a giant dog. He says that he ran into in the woods. Strolling through the woods one day when I saw a giant
exact same thing
dog, and I turned and ran
through the woods one day.
Yeah, that's
when a giant dog came my way. I did the
that's
exact
the way it
feels,
thing. The way it's written too. Yeah, and sure enough, the artwork here is a little man. He's probably a third the size of the dog from the ears to the paws on the front chest and everything. So
he's not even a giant dog. Tall. He doesn't come up to the dog's shoulder.
No. Yeah, that's if this is true, that is a giant dog. You're absolutely right.
Giant is the right word.
So Lois and Clark want Grant to take them to I guess he is adding to the story that he thinks that the giant animal is related to these experiments that Dr. Karlstrom is doing in his lab. And so I would want to go to wherever he saw the dog, actually, if it were me investigating. That's where I would want to start. But when he says, well, I think that it's because of what's going on over here, automatically Lois and Clark, because he is their guide, believe him. And they're like, okay, well, then take us over here. We want to see that since you think that's the cause. But then he's like, no, you misunderstand. You need to go over here and see where it's all happening because I'm going over here away from it. I don't want to go. And they're like, no, you're our guide. You have to come with us and show us. So they kind of manhandle him. Lois kind of manhandles him going with them. Now, this is the start of one of the things that happens that kind of took me out of the story when it finishes a little later on. They get to the property where this laboratory is, and their position in the property is at the bottom of a bluff. And at top of the bluff, they see a fenced-in compound, and Clark tells them that is the compound where the laboratory is. So it's up and on the other side of the fence. It's over there. So, okay, I mean, that makes there's nothing about that is odd to me. It's like, okay, so it's just they came from, I don't know, the backside because they could get in unseen or whatever, and it happens to be on a bluff. Okay. So Clark, one thing that I noticed here, Clark climbs the fence. Now, the artwork is of looking at him on the fence, and the huge nature scene behind him, as if he is thousands of feet in the air on this fence. The bluff looked to be about, the top of the fence would be about 50, 60 feet high. That's it. This next scene looks like it is tens of thousands of feet high. I mean, it is very high. He's on the fence. And I thought, perspective got kind of wacky there when you drew one in reference to the other. So I noticed that, but I'm like, yeah, that didn't really bug me. But something about the fence and the bluff will bug me a little bit later on, and I'll point that out. I think I rectified it in my mind what went on there. Clark falls off the fence. All we see in the panel is him falling, almost like some kind of wrestling move onto the ground, and Lois is asking him, "Are you hurt?" Now, interestingly enough, the next panel is looking through the fence, and we see that a female is holding a shotgun on Clark. And or next time I'll really aim for you. We didn't see anybody shoot. Well, he loses his hat when he's on the fence. I assumed that was because of the wind, which is also drawn, which would also make you think he was really high up, because as the wind, it's like, yeah. So apparently with the shotgun, she took a shot at Clark, and that's why he fell off the fence, frightened or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, what I notice here is Lois, Clark, and Grant are standing even with the fence, looking through it. When we see the first appearance of the fence, that may be kind of difficult to do because where the fence is placed on the bluff. It doesn't necessarily look like it almost looks like there's cliffs right to the fence. You can see in this bottom middle panel. So, yeah, there's a little wiggle room. Maybe because of the perspective, there is kind of like a landing strip there.
Yeah.
You can't really.
I mean, when you're looking at that last panel with Clark hanging on the fence and the hat blowing off and all the surroundings, it does look like right below him, there's a bit of green and then like a brown around the green.
Could be,
that's the top of the bluff.
Right.
And then everything else is below the bluff.
So they're even now with the fence, they're looking through the fence and they see who is going to turn out to be Karlstrom, which is Dr. Emil Karlstrom's, I'm sorry, that's very difficult to roll off the tongue, Karlstrom's daughter. So I don't know if she knew these people were here or she does security checks with the shotgun. She's in charge of security. I don't know. But she's kind of, I kind of like the way she was dressed. She's kind of dressed, in my mind, kind of sportily for the 40s. Like she does, she's wearing the pants that have the funky pouches on the hips or whatever that is, like polo players do, or whatever that style is. I don't know what it's called.
Like she's dressed to go exploring,
or she is going sport shooting.
Yeah,
like maybe she's been out shooting skeet or something skeet. I think,
and then she noticed something like that on the fence.
Yeah, and it's like, here's something bigger to shoot at, But yeah, I like that. In this instance, the way she's dressed kind of matches the fact that she's packing a shotgun, regardless of what she was doing. So, so they tell her, hey, we're not trying to break in. We're actually reporters trying to get information on a story about Dr. Karlstrom's laboratories. They come a knocking and they're asking, will you let us in? And she says, Lord, you're the devil. would you look at him? No, I'm sorry. That's country lyrics from the 80s. So they just ask, here, she is on the inside, right? They're on the outside. They want in. She is determined enough to keep people out that she's carrying a shotgun. But all you have to do is ask her. And she's like, oh, yeah, come on, you can look around.
Yeah. I don't know if it's smart, but I'll let you
in. Yeah. I'm like, really? That's all it? Yeah. So, okay. That's all it took. Move the story along. Let's get going. So, okay. That's cool. So, again, we see that Grant is very hesitant. So much so that Lois notices, he might even be a bigger coward than Clark. Which is very harsh, because here a little bit later on, she reacts to something that happens to Clark, not in a way somebody that is very put offish about somebody would. She has very strong emotions about what happens, like somebody who cares for them instead. So it's,
I like that panel there of her and her thought bubble. Clark seems to have met his equal at last. It's a toss-up as to which of the two is the most cowardly.
Yeah, they were not. She's not kind at all. In a hat that looks like it's been stored somewhere that a mouse has gotten to
it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it weren't symmetrical on both sides, that's what it looks like. Is like a mouse has gotten to it. But I guess, and then you see the panel before that. There's even one on top, so it must be a 4-point. So.
One of those hats that must be in place with bobby pins, because it's just literally sitting on the very back of her head.
It's on the back of her head like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go inside, and our two reporters have a talk with the evil Dr. Karlstrom, Emil Karlstrom, and he's like, I do experiments on animals. Yes. I don't enlarge any animals. As a matter of fact, I'm experimenting on animals, trying to find out the secrets to their longevity, their long life, so that, we can do that to us too. And we can live longer too. Doesn't have anything to do with making giant animals.
Yeah.
So then, now here's another instance that kind of surprised me. After that explanation, Clark asks Carol if he can look around. And we cut to Clark looking around. Okay. Of course, at this point, something's going to happen. I wonder what he runs into. So he's outside looking around. He hears a scream that he recognizes. Let's see. He recognizes it as Lois. So he goes and checks it out, and it is Lois being assaulted by a giant gorilla, which makes sense here. But my question is, right before, Lois had a pen and pad and seemed very intent on interviewing.
Yeah.
Clark asked permission and wanted to go out to look around and went to do that. Where in the heck did Lois go outside to be menaced by anything, much less a gorilla, which we'll get to here in a minute? So it's like,
yeah, I mean, obviously she decided after he left that she was going to go look around as well, but they don't tell us that in any fashion. It's just, do you mind? Do you mind if I look around? And Lois is sitting there writing stuff down.
Right.
So
and you would think, well, he's got the outside. That's cool. I'll investigate inside. We'll split up and cover more. So there's a giant gorilla here menacing Lois. This is this is probably the height, really, of this story. The humor in this height is this. This battle, which I wonder if we should keep track of this. How many times Superman fights a gorilla? It seems like it is a theme that comes up.
Yeah, and they don't call it. They don't ever call it a gorilla, just a giant ape.
Ape. Well, I mean, it looks like a gorilla to me.
Yeah, I keep meaning to look up, because I know that for a long time, what scientists thought about gorillas was completely wrong, until Jane Goodall went in there and spent all that time with them. So maybe this is a period where they don't really understand.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
what a gorilla is.
Early 40s.
Yeah.
I do remember from my biology degree days that there is a difference between monkeys and apes.
Yes.
And there is a difference between baboons and monkeys and apes. And monkeys are like, one of them primarily exists in the New World and one of them in the Old World. And I mean, there's monkeys and apes. There's very definite characteristics, but always keep in mind, those of you out there, this is the tip from Ed, that if you ever encounter a monkey, it is just as strong and can rip you apart as an ape can. It's just smaller. Yep. So don't think that the cute little monkey that you see people carrying around like a baby and everything. No, when those things get to be adults, if they get pissed, they can rip your arms out of the socket, just like a gorilla can. So they're in a lot of ways, there's not that much difference except the size. That's all.
Yeah. Now I looked it up just because I was curious. Tarzan, the Tarzan books, of course, about a guy who was raised by great apes. Again, they don't call them gorillas in those books.
Right. They were apes. And I believe that was supposed to be in Africa. Was that where that occurs? Okay.
Yeah. And it was published. The first one was published in 1912.
Even before that was probably in the height of I'm going to put together a group and we're going to go explore the dark continent and we're going to bring back knowledge and specimens and everything like that. So in the 40s, I think we were a little bit more culturally progressed. Maybe, people could argue maybe not significantly, but to some extent.
So according to Google, I guess the human beings have been aware of gorillas since the 5th century. But it wasn't until sometime between 1855 and 1959 that somebody brought back actual photos. Mountain gorillas were discovered in 1902. So yeah, I guess they knew what gorillas were, but he must, knowing Jerry Siegel, being a big fan of the pulps, he's probably just doing his Edgar Rice Burroughs thing here with the
This is probably closer to Tarzan or what he had to deal with than anything else, really.
Yep.
So Superman defeats the evil gorilla, the evil ape. Gets him. He crashes him, throws him to the ground. The gorilla, the ape tries to crush Superman in the big bear hug, and then Superman punches it up away. He hits it, which I'm sure killed it, but he hits it so hard that it flies off. And this is, for those of you who can see, that's Aubrey there. Yes, I know. So next, he punches him and he flies off. And the next panel, the ape is at his feet.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, that's not a good.
Maybe straight up, and he came straight down, or so. Yeah, I don't know.
Sure doesn't look like it. That's a bad sequence.
Yeah, it's and yes, I am being nitpicky, but just because what I see doesn't necessarily make sense either of its own or in relation to something else. I'm not pointing it out to make fun or to say, how these stories sucked. Yeah. Or it's like, no, just, I don't know what they were thinking. It's whatever.
Based on the angle of the punch, I'm going to fill in what happened between those two panels.
Okay. How did that work?
He punches the gorilla. The gorilla goes flying off to the horizon, but before it can get too far from him, Superman reaches out, grabs it by the ankle, and slams it down at his feet.
Okay.
That's what we didn't see.
Could very well be, because we saw a slam a couple panels ago, and the ape was still semi-conscious, but Superman wanted to completely knock him out, so he didn't have to worry about him at all. So yeah, he did the punch him away, grab him, pull him back, and slam him on the ground move. Yeah, we see that all the time.
That's right. It would have been really cool to see had that really happened.
Yes. But that's not all, folks, because immediately after he defeats the gorilla, the ape, Lois says, behind you. And Superman turns around, and there's a huge snake just coiled up there. But it's a big snake.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sure what the worry is, because in the next panel, apparently, I think it is meant to show, well, yeah, because the narration in the panel where you first see the snake says that it is poised to strike. And then the next panel, it strikes as Superman. I don't believe these kind of snakes strike.
No,
the big wrap around them, crush them kind of snake, whatever that's called.
Boa constrictor or an anaconda.
Pythons, boas. Yeah. Now they will, if you get really close, they will strike, but not like rattlesnake 3 feet away, freaking launching, striking kind of thing, which is what this dude does. He's coiled up in a nice little coil there, and then all of a sudden he uncoils completely to strike. Yeah, the constrictors by and large don't strike. That also is something that caught me. I'm like, yeah.
This story just, I guess, kind of shows the zoological knowledge of the time, or maybe just that they just didn't care enough to do any research at all, just going by what they've seen on serials and TV and stuff like that.
And that's fine. You're making fiction. You're pretending. I am not in a place really to tell you that you're pretending wrong.
Right.
Now, in reality, I can say that it's my understanding, and my understanding is maybe a little bit more advanced than most, because I actually do have a BS in biology. So a lot of these things I've been exposed to more deeply than just a normal person would be in their Google AI reading. I still could be wrong. I mean, but in the striking, the Superman moves out of the way. The anaconda, the boa, does it even tell us what it is?
It just says serpent.
Snake. Yes, not even a snake, a serpent and an ape. Very biblical terminology here.
Yeah,
from the Jewish writers, biblical. Yeah. Anyways, in striking, the animal goes past Superman, and would have gone completely past Superman, except Superman grabs it by the end portion, the tail and middle part there as he goes away, and decides to help him go away by slinging it in a completely different direction, probably whiplashing the snake and breaking its back.
Yep.
But we don't really care about that. But yeah, if you'd have just let him go, he'd have struck at you so hard and he'd have slid it on away and whatever.
It may turn right around and come back though.
It's
obvious that these animals want to kill human beings.
Yes, obviously, because they're being led by the evil Dr. Emil Karlstrom, right, and they're part of what he's doing, and we need to figure out why and what is going on, because somebody saw a giant dog, and now we have seen a giant ape and a giant serpent. I mean, those two were large. I don't think they were like larger than normal, but
no,
both
exactly
extreme range of normal size. They, but not a freaking 3-story dog like the dude says he's seen. We haven't seen that.
Yep. You think that's the size of that dog, and then you're like, well, if these are giant in proportion, they'd be much, much larger. But
you would think so. Yeah. I'm sure at some point in his history, Superman will meet giant apes.
Yes.
Like giant. I'm sure they're out there waiting. So
I think I'm thinking of a Godzilla. I think there was a JLA versus Godzilla a year or so ago. I don't think it was King Kong. But
okay. So we move on. Superman is helping Lois. They hear something going on at the laboratory. So we go to the laboratory, and there is the big crowd of villagers a la Frankenstein, except, they don't have the torches and pitchforks. We're more advanced than that. But they're trying to crash the laboratory. Now, my question is this. The last time we saw the laboratory property, it was on a bluff. How in the heck did these people get here? easy to explain. They came in from the other side, from the main side, where they must have a road to get in and everything like that, which is even level with. But just quickly, when I saw this, I'm like, how in the hell did they get up there? What is? Oh, okay, yeah. So they're they're banging and yelling, tear him apart. He's the one who created the monsters. Yeah.
All because of one news article.
Yes,
that's it.
One witness. So people read one article and believe everything it says.
Right.
How weird is that?
It's been going on for a long.
What is that, man? That is crazy. We don't do that.
Of course, this was back when you should have been able to trust the news, I guess. I don't know. I doubt it.
I was going to say, truly, has there ever been a time that, we hear stories about dirty newspaper men and dirty owners and it was all about selling the paper, and you sold the paper by headlines, so it's like, has news in the U.S. really ever worked? I don't
Yellow
know.
Journalism, I think they called it.
Yeah. So, it's as long as people have written word on paper, there have been unbelievable things. So I don't know before you had access to multiple sources, how did you vet one particular source? Or did you?
You didn't.
Yeah. You just, So everybody in Kansas believes something. Everybody in Texas believes something. In Oklahoma, they believe something. It's like, So, so now we see we see Carol and Emil, and they're doing the standard, looking out the window, looking past the drapes, kind of seeing how bad it is. And Superman and Lois hop up, and he puts Lois down somewhere, I guess maybe on the outskirts of the property a little bit, somewhere away from the people, the villagers, the peasants, whatever you want to call them. Although they're not dressed like peasants or anything. One dude here has got a nice 3-piece suit on, and he's got a nice fedora and he's tie.
Based on where he's leaping in that first panel of the second row, I'm assuming he's left her on the roof of the laboratory.
Well,
I don't know, because he's standing on the roof too, isn't he?
Well, on the third panel, does that look like they're standing above or at the same level as?
Looks like they're at the same level. Yeah.
Maybe what he did was jump to the other side of the building and leave her there, and he's coming, something like that. But so yes.
Can I point out real quick, because we're getting ready to get to something on the next page that's confusing me, but I like that Carol Karlstrom, she's ready to open fire on them. Shall I fire at them? She asks her dad, and he's like, lower that gun. Don't give them any provocation. And so this is the point where I'm kind of like, well, maybe they aren't the bad guys. They said they weren't earlier, but you can't believe a bad guy when they tell you they're not a bad guy.
Right. That's what I would expect you to say. I'd say, yeah.
But the fact that he says, don't give them any provocation also could be taken a completely different way. Yes, I would love it if you killed them, but you're not going to kill them all with that one shotgun, and you're just going to make them more pissed off. So
could be.
You could go kind of either way, but I think this is the part of the story where I started going, I don't think they're the bad guys.
I hadn't made up my mind either way yet, because I hadn't seen enough for it to point to them. I do like the fact that this panel kind of supports the way she was when Clark first tried to climb the fence. She's very protective. She can handle a shotgun really well. And that's a continuation of that characterization, which, a lot of times in these stories, characters are just, they're throwaway. They work for that one panel to move some aspect of the story along, and that's it. But here, I like that the writer, or perhaps the artist, whoever did it, thought enough of what had occurred before to maintain how this character looks at things, at least as far as we would perceive it. So,
kind of a shoot first, ask questions later.
She's aggressively protective, which nothing wrong with that. Maybe of her dad, the daughter being protective of the dad. That would be cool. maybe as the employee of a scientist, an evil scientist, that could be. We haven't necessarily seen anything to say that that's what it is, but that's also possible. She's the underling kind of aspect. So not seen this anywhere before in a Superman story. He jumps down in front of an entire crowd and is going to stop the entire crowd. It's not just one or two guys. It's not a big bad. It's not an evil supervillain. He is going to stop a crowd of people. And they weigh into him. All of them dressed differently, which I kind of like. Even over here is a female in a red dress, kind of like the daughter, but she doesn't look like the daughter. So they bum rush him. I guess I can still say that in the 21st century. I don't know.
I'll admit that first panel there on the bottom row, the guy, okay, so he says, back, I warn you. One guy on one side of him says, trample him. Then the guy on the other side says, listen to him. He's telling us what to do. That's the tone that you should get from that. Like, he's upset. Listen to him, that guy. But when I first read it, I read it as if Superman just immediately convinced him. And he's like, well, listen to him. He's telling us what to do.
He's telling us what to do.
Like, he just automatically went robot. He's telling us what to do. So we've got it. So that confused me for about a fraction of a second. And then I read it differently. And I said, oh, he's like,
at first,
telling us what to do,
you're just reading the words. It's like, listen to him. He's telling us what to do. And it's like, no, that's not how that dude said that. Okay, let me try that again. Yeah. That's one of those, and I do that all the time. I'll read, and at some point I'll be like, no, that didn't sound right. So I'll go back and I'll read it again a different way or a different tone or whatever. Yeah.
And so when we get to the next page, I think it's the very first panel, we're gonna have to talk about that one.
Okay, so Superman starts, and all of you can just kiss my ass for what I'm about to say. Okay, he starts beating them off. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. Okay, those are the words that came to mind. Get off and go somewhere else.
I have to say real quick. As a kid, I remember distinctly being on vacation once, and I got an older brother and a younger brother. And we get to where we're supposed to be, and the doors of the station wagon open up, and both of my brothers go running out, and they're just being all crazy. And my dad's trying to wrangle them. And I was trying to say, I guess, stop jerking around. But what I said was, stop jerking off. And my dad goes, don't say it that way. My memories aren't, I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood, but that's one that's always stuck. Don't say it that way. And I was like, well,
that's funny. And you're not going to, and that's good. You're not supposed to. Okay,
I couldn't understand why at that age, why I couldn't say it.
Right.
I don't understand. It's the same thing, right? No, you'll understand later. And once I did understand, I was like, oh yeah.
You're right. That was, I should have said that another way. Yep. So Superman
he's beating them off because they're trying to
they're on him, and he's beating them off of him. So he's beating them. Yeah, never mind. That's
right.
So then they scatter, and he goes back inside. So what is it that you Superman?
Okay, so that if you just look at that first panel here, it's page 7 of the story. Mm-hmm. It looks like he's just punched a big group of people.
Okay,
like a ferocious Superman punch. And my first thought was, God damn, he probably killed at least 3 of those people, and I bet there's dozens more that are injured.
And I would have to agree that has to be what happened. Yes.
The narration box, however, says unexpectedly a sudden eruption, and the crowd is swept back by the lone figure of Superman. The narration makes me feel like when the Hulk would clap his hands together and cause a big So is
the
he
thunderclap?
Is he punching them, or did he just somehow punch the air and it caused a concussive force or something?
Now the artist, I am fairly sure that the artist drew Superman punching the people.
Agreed.
But at the time, that may not have been an acceptable thing or an acceptable thing for Superman. So the narration softened it. But there is nothing about this panel that tells me Superman did not punch the people who were on him.
Right. Yeah, that's why
that is exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, the action it's like the one of the few times where the action in the panel does not look like what the narration is describing. Right. And so I'm assuming we've got a few dead people now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, somebody saw this and they're like, and it was easier to caption than it was to change the panel. And so that's what we have.
Because if it was just a concussive force that knocked them backwards, their reaction in that second panel, I think, wouldn't be because they're terrified. But what of the huge monsters? He's more to be feared than any of them. And they just, they're gone, So yeah, one concussive blast that may have knocked them off their feet wouldn't do that. Killing a few of them with one swing of your fist would do that.
And I'm sure that it was not a hidden pretty scene of what those people turned out to be like after that punch. So
somebody should write that story.
I was a survivor of a Superman punch. Oh, absolutely.
Clouds,
body parts, and it could not have been pretty. So Superman goes back inside, encounters Carol, and asks where the doctor is. Also inside, I think, who we haven't seen in a little while, must be Grant. I think that's who the dude here with the purple is, right next to her in this first panel, middle row. I don't know. I don't know what other man it could be, because Clark is here, or Superman. The doctor's gone, which neither one of them had a hat on anyways. But we don't.
They didn't do a very good job.
Yeah. We don't see him again for several panels. He's barely in this one, but he's there enough to say he was here a little while ago, which she could have said. So.
When we do see, exactly. When we do see him again, I think it's the next page. He has like a line and then he's just gone. And I'm like, I couldn't understand the point of him even being in the story at that point, because he's not doing anything. It's just
he's over here at the cave mouth. Yeah. He just, it's almost like they're like, we gotta pop him in here. We gotta pop him in,
Gotta remind people that he came up there with Lois and Clark, even though we didn't show him. Yeah.
And he's not doing anything.
No,
I mean, it's been Clark and Lois, Superman, almost the whole time. So, so apparently wherever Superman set Lois down, she was able to get back inside, because she's now inside with Carol and with Grant. Superman asks about Dr. Emil, and she's like, well, the daughter, she would be the one to know, doesn't. And so Superman's like, okay, let's search the laboratory and find him. I guess the thought being, because the scene outside was so tumultuous, so bad, something may have happened to him, like if he was outside and all of that, or maybe some amount of them broke in and grabbed him while we weren't looking, or something, so bad outside. Inside where it's quiet, is everybody here? Is everybody okay? And one of them is missing. So let's find him, see what he's doing. Don't see him, but then Superman uses the super hearing, and he's like, I hear somebody moaning. Where are they moaning? He uses his X-ray vision, and he sees, he's moaning from underneath the laboratory in a set of secret tunnels. So here we go with some added to whatever's going on. So, Superman, which this is kind of amused me. Superman runs outside and starts digging through the underbrush. And Lois is like, what the heck are you doing, man? And he's like, here's the entrance to the tunnel. I'm like, how did you know where okay, whatever, moving the story along. It's covered up with vegetation, right? Like, probably not 15, 20 feet from a door to the laboratory. Could be the main door. We don't know. But they have been this close anytime they've used that door to the entrance to tunnels under their laboratory. They had no idea, supposedly, no idea that it was there. Okay.
It's just a big wall of rock covered by vegetation.
It's, we every Western TV series has this scene. This is a standard in 50s and 60s Western TV. Yeah. So Every season, every show had at least one episode where they go up. Oh, I didn't even know it was. And he moves one tumbleweed, and there's the entrance to the cave.
You ever just see a jumble of plants just laying on top of each other in front of like a hill? There's probably a tunnel behind that.
There's a tunnel in there. Just wait for him to get to it. Yeah.
Yep.
So now, Superman, Carol, Lois, and Grant are at the entrance to the tunnel, because this is where Superman heard the Doctor, somewhere in these tunnels. So they go down, start looking around. Sure enough, Lois, Carol, and Superman find the Doctor tied up, laying on the floor of the tunnel. Now, at this point, I knew who was behind what was going on.
Yeah.
At this point in the story. Not before. I may have suspected or thought maybe or whatever. But here, I'm like, okay. And maybe this is why dude is not around and he just drops in, because they have to keep him in mind, maybe not front of mind, but they have to keep him in mind in the story. That way it's not a complete surprise that you're like, well, who in the hell is that? Is it,
Right. So yeah, so this second panel on this page where they're at the cave entrance, and each of them, except for Lois, they all have something to say, even him, which is just, I knew I should have left town. And then the very next panel, they're in the cave, and I think Superman asks, "Where's Fellows?" And Carol says, "He's remained behind." And so with those two panels, I'm like, well, what was the point of even him being there? Just to say that didn't make any sense. And then by the time I got maybe to the next panel, the panel after that, I went,
oh, I know why they did it that way.
I get it. All right. Yeah.
So they go on, they find the Doctor. He's been, of course, by a third party, he's been tied up, knocked out, and put down here, because it's not something the Doctor could do for himself, trying to hide his involvement in anything. So he's here. Fortunately, his glasses are laying right here in the cave floor, right next to him. He didn't lose them at any point other than when he was laying here and they fell off his face right here. So unlike Velma, right, who is always losing the glasses, and they're always over there somewhere, over, there. Yeah. Yep. That's kind of a joke. It wasn't the best one, but it's all I got.
Well, Scooby-Doo reference, and I said this is like a Scooby-Doo story.
Yeah, so there we go. Bringing it full circle, man. That's what we do, full circle. See?
That's right. So it's all planned out ahead of time. We plan this.
Tie it up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Or Christmas, if you want to wait that long. That's whichever. So, the typical, what happened? Do you know where you are? Do you know? And the Doctor's like, no, I remember being hit, and I remember waking up now, and there's nothing in between. So, all right, then let's all go. And then all of a sudden, boom, the entrance to the cave blows up, which would lead you to believe that somebody is trying to trap them in there. Trap them in there, which means the other person is outside. Okay. So several panels of just the four of them trapped in the cave, who is now Emil and Carol Karlstrom, Lois, and Superman. Superman digs out, says something here. He's done it, burrowed through the rock. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't that drill kind of thing that we've seen Superman. That's not what he did. He was punching and clawing, and so it would have been much cooler if we'd have seen him.
Yeah.
That's not how it was drawn.
I always like that on the Super Friends.
Yeah, they jump up and he'll come down like a drill. Yeah,
so cool.
Like, okay. So they get out, and as they're climbing out, Grant is waiting for them. Says, "You're alive. It's a miracle. I saw the man who blasted the entrance run off." Soup says, "Did you get a good look at him?" "Not very clearly. But would you recognize him if you were to see him again?" And he snatches him up, and he flies, but
totally.
Maybe it's okay that he's flying now. I don't know. That's still kind of iffy,
but we said in Superman number 10, that's supposed to be the first instance of Superman flying, but they never call it. It's like I think it was the Silver Age when you first hear him actually say that he flies.
Right.
But I think after that, I think artists were just like, oh, well, I guess we can make him fly. But the writer just never refers to it as fly.
Right. It's not addressed. When he grabs up Grant, he leaps off, which makes sense. That's how you would start, I would assume, getting the momentum to do something. But then in the next two panels, we see him do probably what is that? That's probably about a 25 or 30 degree change in path. And then in the next panel, we see the patrolling of an area whirly kind of movement as far as he's doing here. So he's flying.
Yeah. He's flying over the territory looking for somebody.
Right. They don't see anybody. So Soups brings him back down. Lois says, any luck? None at all, Grant says. And while they're talking, Superman rushes off and changes back to Clark and then comes back confronting, that's not the best word for it, Lois as Clark. Clark, where have you been? You missed all sorts of excitement. He says, did I? I've been looking for giant animals because the last time we saw Clark, he asked if he could investigate outside of the laboratory. So that makes sense, which is cool because a lot of times things from beginning to end don't necessarily match up in these stories. So just like the characterization of the daughter continued through, what Clark was doing continued through. So somebody paid enough attention to connect the two and make it very believable that that's what he was doing. So the Karlstroms and Clark and Grant and Lois are, I don't know what starts this. What does he say here? I've a healthy suspicion where the big brutes hide out if you'll follow me. So out of nowhere, Grant has an idea. And so they all follow him. It's a path that looks like it's one of those on the edge of the mountain paths. You know, you've got mountain on one side and drop off on the other. So they're following him, following it around, and it dead ends at a cliff. And Clark says, well, you know, we didn't find anything and the path ends. There's a cliff here. And Grant says, exactly. Aha!
Sinister plan.
Clark, but you said, and now I tell you to raise your hands, all of you, as maybe he's holding a pistol. It's kind of drawn kind of weird.
It's there. You can see it. He's holding it close to his chest. It looks like because he's like pointing at him with one hand, but he's making like finger guns with that hand. So but he's holding the gun like on his other hand close to his chest.
But he's holding the gun like in his coat pocket or something. I mean, you don't see his hand. So I don't know. You'd have to ask the artist. What was your vision here for this panel? And he's like, I spent 45 seconds on it. I'm not sure what I was trying to. So now we see. Obviously, he's the bad guy because he's pulled a gun on everybody. Means that I trumped up the fake story about giant creatures haunting the vicinity. I released that large ape and snake only to support my yarn. Okay, so he lied about the story. I guess he got the ape and snake from the lab when he went in. I don't know. I don't know how anybody just has these things to release them, but okay. And then, of course, Lois asks the question, but your motive, that's what we're thinking. So she is us. I learned that a valuable old gold mine was located beneath the Karlstrom property. I thought that if I could frighten the doctor, I could buy his land for a song. Okay, so that explains why the tunnel system was there. I do not for a moment believe that anybody that bought property to build a laboratory would be unaware that an abandoned gold mine is underneath at all. That is, even in 1941, late 30s, early 40s, I don't believe that that's possible. It would have been attached to the deed that, so.
And this is the Scooby-Doo moment, because many of those old episodes were people pretending to be ghosts to haunt something to scare whoever was living there off so they could buy the property or get the gold that was buried underneath there, or something like that. That's so except for the fact that there's no ghosts involved. It's like you might as well be pulling off his mask and him going, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those darn kids.
Yep, exactly like that. And that's exactly how it feels too. So now Grant is going to, I don't know, either shoot them and throw them over the cliff or make them jump over the cliff or whatever. But he's got a gun. He's got a cliff. He's got 4 witnesses that he needs to get rid of because they all know the truth about him. So everybody is dead at this point. Clark is first up. He backs up. And then finally, Grant takes a swing at him with his free hand. Or he pushes him. It's kind of hard to tell.
He's pushing him, yeah.
Clark falls off the cliff backwards, and we have a panel of Clark plummeting. Now, the next panel, you killer, you cold-blooded, ruthless killer, Lois exclaims as she jumps at him to fight him, wrestle the gun out of his hand, whatever is going to happen.
She's got a fist cocked back. She's yeah, I love this panel.
So, yes, part of her understands that at some point what just happened to Clark is going to happen to her, so she's reacting to that. I prefer to think that the main motivation for the way she's acting right now is because of what just happened to Clark.
Yeah.
If, like you said, dude pushed him, then she has gone, that's my man crazy, and is going to try to kill this dude for killing her man.
Now, we have seen her get upset before when she.
We have, but in this very story, she was talking about what a coward Clark was, and that maybe somebody is just as big a coward as he is. Yep. So that's not just he's a coward, but it's also, well, he's such a big coward, probably nobody could beat him. Oh, wait, this dude might. So, I mean, that the two don't match up.
Well, he's a coward, but he's my coward.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, next panel, Clark is falling and he grabs a mini cliff or a protrusion of the mountain, whatever you want to call it, that stops his fall. He jumps up. It's enough for him to stand on. He takes off his Clark gear and he's Superman now. Well, somehow, Steven, look at her leg and tell me what the hell's going on there.
I think it's broken.
I think that we're looking at major MCL, LCL kind of. She's out for the rest of the season. Easy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it's. So she has fallen. I don't know. He's pushed her off, thrown her off, whatever. So now Clark has fallen off the cliff. Lois has fallen off the cliff. Clark changed to Superman, jumps up, flies, saves her, takes her back up to the top of the cliff. He's holding her right next to him, like in an arm, Superman is. Grant is firing bullets that more than likely are bouncing off his chest, and none of them hit Lois, who is standing right here beside him. What direction do those bullets bounce off in?
Every direction except for the one in which
except the one at her. Yeah, it's okay. You have 360 degrees, so they can bounce off anywhere in like 190 maybe, and not that other. Yeah, okay. So that's something else that I'm like, she's standing right there and those bullets are bouncing off of her and she doesn't get hit. So no. Once again, Superman punches the bad dude hard enough to fling him away, so hard that he loses the grip on the gun, and the gun goes flying off in another direction while the dude, Grant, what's his name? Fellows, goes flying off, much like the people, the villagers that that Superman assaulted before with the thunder punch. Yep. Yeah, so pulped him. But that's all that's soup in a sack is all that there is left of the dude.
And yet, as he's leaping away, he's telling them, take him to the police.
Yes.
Scrape up what's left of him off the floor.
Take his remains to the police. Yeah. Tell them what happened and that this is the dude, though you can't tell, that was responsible. That I safely deposited him at the foot of the cliff. Turn him. Oh, Clark. Superman says that's where Clark is. Clark fell. Superman rescued him, put him at the bottom of the cliff, got Lois, took her to the top of the cliff, Well, that's pretty convenient. So, yeah. And Lois says goodbye for the present. So she knows she'll see him again.
What is that? What is that
Superman's
line?
always
goodbye
rescuing
for
me.
the present.
Yeah, who says that?
It's goodbye for now is what she's saying, but goodbye for the present.
For the present. They get back. Apparently, Clark or Lois, who knows? No more competition really too much between the two as far as submitting the story. We haven't seen that in a while. But they give Perry the story and little back and forth here, and that's the end of this one.
This page makes the whole, we know hindsight's 2020. We know that present, in the last couple of decades, people have said Superman first flies in Superman number 10. But, nobody, I think, obviously really told any of the creators because they still try to kind of, he's flying, but they're not calling it flying. And then we have here where, because obviously in that previous page, he was flying fellows around the area to look for something.
Yes, most
so
definitely.
If he can, so if the artist, for example, knows that he can fly, if that's what he's trying to show there, why does he need to grab a piece of the outcropping to pull himself up? He should be changing into his Superman outfit as he's falling and then just flies right back up. But that's because they haven't officially said that he's flying.
Right.
It seems like there's a big, huge miscommunication there between everybody involved. Superman.
I can't get over Lois's leg there where she falls, man.
I know. I didn't notice that until you brought it up. I'm going to zoom in on it. See if I can.
That is bad. That is just bad art. I'm sorry, but it's just look. In normal situations, I do not know that the knee bends that way. I mean, it just no.
That's not like a Rob Liefeld, action pose mistake. That's just a weird that, like you said, I did that in 15 seconds.
And if you really want to see how messed up it is, look closely at the foot. The heel is pointing out towards us.
Oh my God, I didn't notice that either.
So even more so, it's like,
man.
So it's whatever he did to her to get her over the cliff. Boy, she fought so much that maybe in 1941 they would have to take that off. I don't know if you had the technology to fix that then.
That's
but
crazy. Wow.
That leg was all messed up. So
I'm gonna have to put that up on social media now.
What happened to Lois's leg?
Wow.
Did she ever walk? Is this Lois's Batgirl moment where she's in a wheelchair?
Yeah,
I don't mean that maliciously.
Final thoughts on this one. I did enjoy it. I do think it was a crazy fun adventure. I do always, however, when I read one of these stories that I think is crazy fun, I say it all the time. I always have to compare it to the old man fighting Superman in the basement of the orphanage.
It wasn't that crazy.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it's below that. And then I also think of the maybe one of the few two-parters. Was it an Action Comics with the Ultra Humanite who then has his brain put into the body of the actress, and they have that whole underground layer and everything. I don't remember a lot about that story, but I remember feeling it was super crazy. But so this is below those, but it's still up there.
Yeah. There have been calmer stories than this one. A little bit more straightforward.
Yeah. We've yet to hit a story in which I can say that was crazier than Superman fighting an old man in the basement of an orphanage.
I don't know. We might honestly have to wait until like the Silver Age books where they really tried to be crazy to find one better than the dude with the torture chambers in the bottom of his orphanage that he ran.
Yeah, and I can never remember what issue that is, whether it's Action, whether it's Superman, but I'll look it up afterwards.
I think it was Superman. I don't think we were in in Action. I don't think we were in Superman yet. I don't think we had one yet.
Maybe not. Yeah, I'll have my assistant Alice, the voice, tell us what that is.
10. Right, I'd say it'll turn out to be in the first 10 to 15. It would have to be action stories because it was pretty early on, and we were like, dude.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So early, so soon. This just got way out there. Yeah. So, I enjoyed the story. Like I said, there were a couple places that kind of made me stop for a minute, but it was easy for me to get back into the story. Sitting and talking like this, I'll notice more things. Like I noticed Lois's leg before, but I didn't realize that it was turned as much as it was until I was like, that's the heel of her. Okay, that's that.
I tell you, those are great moments on our shows when one of us don't realize we're seeing something until like, those are great.
Oh man, yeah. It's like we've read this who knows how many times over the past who knows how long, and then when we record, we're like, oh, did you see that dude in the that's cool. That which is cool that we're paying that much attention while we're doing this to notice some little thing in the corner or in the background or whatever. So, yep, good stuff. So far, issue 11 of Superman has not disappointed. Yeah. I think there's probably 2, maybe 3, maybe just 2 more stories to finish this issue. So hopefully we'll keep up this feel because it's been fun.
Yeah. All right, want to wrap it up?
Yes, sir.
All right, on the next episode, a mysterious malady grips Metropolis, turning victims hideous, mad, and finally dead. A terror spreads through the city. I said that wrong. As terror spreads through the city, Superman races across continents to confront the unseen menace behind the Yellow Plague. That's coming up on episode number 92. And Ed and I will take a look at the third story from Superman number 11, The Yellow Plague, which was published by DC Comics in May of 1991. So until next time, folks, I'm Steven, that's Ed, and this was the Superman Super Show. Thanks for listening.
Ciao, all.
Yeah, that was a good. I always enjoy, I don't enjoy when we have to take breaks, but I enjoy when we come back from a break with a good story like this.
This was a pretty good one to come back to, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And this next one sounds pretty crazy too. I haven't read it yet, but there are Native American tribes or some kind of tribe of indigenous people in it.
It makes me wonder what's truly happening because I doubt the people are turning, all those things that it said and then dying. Yeah. So it's like, well, what is happening? That's how somebody has described.
Yeah.
The incidents.
I mean, we did have the story about the Purple Plague where it seemed as if thousands of people died in Metropolis from the Purple Plague.
Well, no, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And you never heard anything otherwise. So you're like, did all those people die? Yeah.
So if we've had the Purple Plague, I'm sure we'll talk about this next time, but if we've had, I think it was called the Purple Plague, and now we've got the Yellow Plague.
Yellow Plague.
Are we going to go through all the Roy G. Biv?
Maybe.
All the colors?
In 1941, is the Yellow Plague a euphemism?
Ooh, it could be, that could be a completely different story. The fact that they referred to Japanese citizens as being yellow, color of their skin, and
I don't know purple being used as a diminutive for people or anything like that. I've not heard of that one, but the Yellow Plague, that sounds like that is a ultra conservative American comment from 1941. That's if ever there was one, that would be it.
So you want to plan 2 weeks?
Sure. Yeah.
Which would be November the 2nd.
The 1st of November, first part. Yeah.
That's what we'll plan on. And maybe if we continue, I think we talked for a half hour before we started recording. Mm-hmm. So we're at an hour 43. We didn't do any banter at all during the episode, really.
Right. No, not really. It was all before it.
If we can maybe, I don't know. The thing is, though, when we take these breaks, we always have a lot to talk about when we come back. So we may not have that much to talk about in 2 weeks, but I think we should go ahead and plan on trying to do 2 of them.
Okay.
you know, the third and the fourth story. And then if can't get to the fourth, well, we can't. So yeah, easy enough. All right, then I have an episode of 2 episodes for one of my clients that I have to finish up today. Tell you, I have been super busy because I started the next episode of ours that needs to go up is, see if this is not 89, I think is the next one. I think that's the one I'm working on now. I started editing that. What did I texted you or sent you an IM when it was like a week, 2 weeks ago, maybe. But I tell you, I have 2 podcast editing clients, and they've both been fairly busy, and so they're keeping me busy. So yeah,
cool beans.
Yep.
Who is that? Mike and Billy? You don't do anything for Billy,
Mike, and no, I've got something I'm working on for Billy. It's like a promo of some sort. He's already recorded all the audio and everything, and he just wants me to stick some music to it. And I have, thanks to Humble Bundle, I have a bunch of music. And then Wayne. So
Wayne, that's right.
Wayne Cordova. He's been putting out a lot of stuff lately. He's been keeping me really busy. And then Mike, his Comic Shop Roadshow. And I was on, or I'm gonna be on a future episode. We recorded a few weeks back. He's always recording a lot of stuff. He does them in chunks because he has like a lot of the interviews that he does with the comic book stores. Some of those are over a year old. But he was like, hey, I here's the list of books that I'm going to be talking about coming up, and I don't have anybody to come on the show and talk about them with. You want to talk about any of these? And I saw Conan the Barbarian #1, and I said, yes,
there we
let's do that. So I get it. I got to talk about that again.
Yeah, he did get in touch, and we're tentatively scheduled for sometime the first part of November to talk about some Usagi books. So
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's right up your street, man.
Absolutely, man. Those are
cool. Yeah, I'll look forward to that when I get it. It's like him and I recorded, like I said, 2, 3, maybe even 3, 4 weeks ago, and I've gotten 2 episodes from him since then, and neither of them were mine. So I don't know if I'm going to be the next one or the next. I don't know. Right. So,
and I did notice, and it might be related to this episode that he wanted to record with me. It focuses on Westfield Comics in Wisconsin. Westfield has one of the oldest mail orders for comic books that there are. Oh. I remember being able to order Westfield, and you can look and see ads back in the middle 80s when I was in school.
So they've been around. I would remember those if I saw them. I always remember seeing the Mile High Comics, but Westfield sounds super familiar.
Now, the interesting thing too about Westfield is that they have like 2 or 3 stores. One of the people that works at one of the stores, and I can't for the life of me remember his name, but I believe this is the guy that Mike interviewed, used to have a podcast called Top Cow and Donuts that he hosted. And he and another person that worked either at the same store or another store, one of them would bring donuts, and they would talk about a Top Cow series while they were eating their donuts. And that was and so because I recognized his name, and I think if you gave Chris Parton the name, I think he would recognize the name too as being Top Cow and Donuts co-host. So
where's the store located?
Wisconsin somewhere.
Okay.
Westfield Comics is somewhere in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Ever since I went to Mile High Comics last year, it's like I want to try to make a list of like the quote unquote famous comic book stores in the country and try to eventually visit all of them. And I guess Westfield would be one of those, because I almost can picture their ad.
Their ad almost, the artwork in the back was almost an idyllic kind of almost country-ish farmland with a building and a tree. I mean, very simple, and then all the text about what you could do and everything like that. But yeah, I mean,
for some reason I was thinking of a tree. So
yeah. So the store probably has existed longer than mail order to establish itself.
Yeah.
The mail order itself, I know, has been around since I was in junior high when I was first exposed to it, because my band teacher ordered his comic books every month from Westfield and had them delivered. And after he got done, every order he would just keep in the box and he would bring to me and give to me for me to read whatever I wanted to. And then I would give the box back to him and he'd put them in his collection. And that was, I graduated in 86. So if you think like 3 years at least, so that's like 82 to 84, somewhere in there, was the first time I saw Westfield. And they were already established enough that somebody in Southern West Virginia was ordering from them. So they couldn't have been brand new at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd maybe if you, I've never done it, but maybe there's a wiki page for them that would say when they started or something like that. But yeah, actually that's where I get my mail order comic books now, is from Westfield, because the other place there in Indiana that everybody uses pissed me off. And I quit using.
Is that
DCB?
DCBS, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they got the big head because they got the lunar contract and all that, and they just started being real shitty to their regular people, in my opinion. Other people haven't had problems with them, and I'm like, okay, good on you. I have. Cut them off. They're done.
Yep.
So,
yep. Have you been listening to the digging for kryptonite episodes of the John Byrne Superman?
Mm-mm.
He just started those recently, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm like, he's doing this so much better than we could. He even had Mike Carlin, the editor of.
That's not the point.
So I know.
It's not.
But I was excited about getting back to some golden age. I think there may, maybe in 2026 let's do some more post-crisis.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, don't worry about, so many people are like. And this is an excuse Chris uses a lot. Well, what am I going to say? It's not the point. The point is that you're saying, all right, Chris, I'm ditching you, dog. I'm bitching at you. It doesn't matter what you say. It's the fact that you say. Be a maker. That's the point. So
yeah, I mean, I agree to a certain extent. It's just sometimes I will listen to a show like that and I just get kind of disheartened. But for example, I have been planning, and it probably will never happen, but I've been planning a G.I. Joe podcast for a long time. And it's like, there are
several of those out right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, the title I have for the podcast is called Another G.I. Joe Podcast. But yeah. And I think I did record a first episode, but that was months and months ago. I haven't done anything with it since. And I think in that I say something like, there are a ton of other G.I. Joe podcasts out there. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I just want to talk about G.I. Joe.
Exactly. And think of what podcasting started. It was a very guerrilla concept with a person or a group of persons sitting around talking about something they really dug, and then just making that recording available for other people that might be fans also. That's it. And in my mind, it doesn't matter how many other people, because it's not that voice. Right. It doesn't matter what they say, because it's not that voice. And I mean, you can just go on and on. Now, is it going to be harder to find an audience? Maybe. I don't know. At this point, there are not very, very many comic book concepts that have not been covered in a podcast.
Yep.
There are some. You have to dig around into types or really drill in on a specific comic book, one or the other. But as far as take for instance, well, let's talk about the new releases. Oh, that shit's been done to death. I mean, half of all the comic book podcasts out there are people talking about the new hotness. That is, but yet people still do that because I want to talk about it. My buddy wants to talk about it, and there are books we like, and those still keep coming out. So why does a particular topic, otherwise, if it's been talked about, why are people hesitant? It's like, look, do your thing, dog.
Yeah, The Voice is a good point, because those podcasts that do the just like Just Another Fanboy used to be back in the day, do the new releases and what they enjoy most from the new releases. A lot of people will use those shows. I listen to this show. I like this guy. I like all the books that he talks about. He's recommending this book. I'm going to try that book,
There you go. Yeah. And I guess in a way, ultimately, that is the kind of thing we hope. I know that when I record Usagi, I hope that somebody new finds it and starts reading it, sends that money to Stan and helps Stan, So, yeah. Golden Age stuff. How many people are out there talking about Golden Age books right now? Not very many that I know of. For reasons, Golden Age books are different than what you have to. How many podcasts are out there talking about Silver Age? I mean, definite Silver Age books.
Yep. You
don't get that much either. I just proposed something, and I'll put this out on the air for somebody to steal or whatever. In 27 is the 35th anniversary of Image Comics. And I just proposed to Chris. I said, hey, starting in whatever month, and we could look it up, in 2027, let's talk about the Image books that came out that month as they are coming out 35 years ago. Where a couple of, and I think I suggested the name like the Retro Image Show or something like that, because we're two old guys who really dig that, who was there when it came out. These books have been talked about any number of times. I mean, the first 3 or 4 years of Image, many, many times. John Wilson did probably the best show that I have heard about those.
All the pouches.
All the pouches. Like mm-hmm. So, I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, it's going to be the 35th anniversary. And Chris and I were talking about how much that early 90s is like absolutely in our sweet spot for comic books, period. And it happens to be Image and Valiant, and you had Defiant, and you had Malibu coming out then. What was going on in Marvel and DC? I mean, it was just it's a golden age of books right there. And so I don't know if we will or not. I was just spitballing. If we do, we do. If not,
I mean, that's over a year from now, so you never know.
Yeah, and it gives whoever enough time to find the books, and it's like
April is when the first. I think Youngblood was the first one that they released, and I think that was April. 92.
So there you go. And honestly, I have a notepad that I just do for all kinds of stuff. And there's one section of comic book podcast ideas that I get. Yeah. And I'll just jot it down, a topic or a book that nobody is covering. And then over time, if somebody does something, I'll go in it and I'll scratch it out. It's like, okay, that one's been done, But yeah, I have. Will I do them? I don't know. But if somebody says, hey, I'm wanting to do a show, what do you think? Do you have any idea?
Got a whole list.
Hang on just a minute. How about,
you unroll this scroll that
really
goes all the way down to the ground, all that stuff. Yeah.
So,
I do the same exact thing, except for instead of making a list, I make the podcast artwork for
okay. Yeah.
I have tons. I just have a bunch of files. I put some of them out at one point. I think I put them up on Instagram. Here's a bunch of shows that I thought would be fun to do, but I probably never will. All right, dude. It's straight up noon here in Kansas. Or a minute till noon. So we'll plan on November the 2nd. And then I'm going to try to get episode 89 out hopefully this week. So if not, just keep on working, just plugging away.
Yep.
All right. Always fun. I'm going to stop doing the stream. Didn't see anybody watching the entire time.
Oh, boo.